weird ASMR content. Today I decided I wanted to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Bookish challenge. What's really exciting is that I just got hired for a job at the library. I'm going to be doing technical services, which basically means that I put the jackets on the books and write all the information in the books. And yeah, that's basically what my whole job will be, just me doing that. But also I live in a small town, so I'll be doing circulation as well. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my iPad. But the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Bookish challenge is 5 books that I love, 4 books on my TBR, 3 books I always recommend, and 2 recent reads and 1 current read. So I'll be talking about that with you shortly, but first, here's a word from our sponsors. Have you ever wondered where you could find a cute crocheted bucket hat? Maybe one with sunflowers or one that is shaped like a strawberry? Well, I have the perfect thing for you. You can find so many different designs of hats on my website at flowerpowerartandcrochet.com. Not only are there bucket hats, but there are also cat ear beanies, and my personal favorite, which is the flower beanie. You can also find star bags, sunflower bags, shrugs and sweaters, pride flag tops, the list goes on. You can find it all for a very reasonable price. But what's even more reasonable is that you can get 20% off your order when you use code WHISPERS at checkout. Isn't that crazy? You could get this hat for $15. Find the link to my shop below to take advantage of this discount. Thank you to Flower Power Art and Crochet for sponsoring this video, and thank you to my subscribers for understanding that sponsorships are an important part of a YouTube channel. Alright, now let's get into the video. I should probably keep the hats on because my hair looks crazy, but I won't. The first is 5 books that I love, and you probably already know what I'm gonna say as my first one. It's Big Swiss by Jen Began, and this book, I've talked about it in my other videos, but it's basically about this woman named Greta, and she is a transcriber. So she writes, she'll listen to a therapist do their session and she'll transcribe it. So she starts listening to a sex therapist for her job, and she types out what they say in the session so that the sex therapist can write a book about it. And she starts hearing this woman who she calls Big Swiss because she's Swiss. And she thinks that her story is really interesting. And then one day she's at the dog park with her dog, obviously, and she runs into Big Swiss, and they end up forming a relationship. So yeah, I don't want to ruin it or anything, but it was a very entertaining book. I think the writing made it really funny. I was laughing out loud at some points, but I just thought that it was really a clever idea, and it's just one of the books that is very memorable for me. The second book that I really love is The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding. This is on Kindle Unlimited if you have that. But basically this book is about a woman who is fleeing a dangerous past, and she's living out of her car, and one day she parks by the beach and she realizes that there's a woman in the water drowning, so she goes and tries to help her. And the woman and her have really similar experiences, so they end up trying to help each other. I thought it was an amazing book. I didn't see the plot twists coming. I just thought it was really entertaining. So if you like psychological thrillers, you probably would like The Drowning Woman. Third book is one of my all-time favorite books, which is You Exist Too Much by Zaina Arafat. And this book is basically about a Palestinian woman. I believe she lives in New York, and she is in a relationship, and she finds herself dreaming of other people. I think they call it a facilitator. I'm sorry, I can't remember the word for it. I only say that because there's an Ethel Cain song named it, and that's what it means. But anyway, she finds out that she might have something called love addiction, and so so she goes to rehab for her love addiction, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but she delves a lot into like the mother wound and trauma that came from her relationship with her mother and how that plays out in her relationships. And I just found the book to be very profound. It's like one of my favorite books, obviously, but yeah, there's just so much in it. I think there were a lot of things that I could relate to. There are a lot of things that I couldn't relate to and I got to learn about through the book. So I really liked the book and would recommend it. I would say it's more of like a literary or contemporary fiction kind of book. Alright, so the fourth book that I really love is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And basically this book is about like housewives in the South, and they have this book club and they meet this new guy who like comes to the neighborhood, and they all like are, I don't want to say aroused by him, but they're like interested in him, and they suspect that he might be a vampire, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But it is a horror novel, but I think that there's a lot to be said in the book about housewives, and I also feel like the book kind of touches on like systemic racism and how the justice system can often ignore minorities. So I really like the book. The author's note in the beginning, Grady Hendrix said that his mom was a housewife, and that's what like inspired the book. But I just think the book was so good. The like descriptions were very like, I don't want to say graphic, but they were very detailed. I think that's a good way to put it. So if you haven't read this book, you should, even if you don't really like horror books. I think that the social commentary is like the biggest part of the book. But if you don't like creepy things, you might not like it. Just look at the trigger warnings when you go online. And the fifth book that I really love is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I think that's how you say her name. But Yellowface is very popular. It's one of my favorite books. It's basically about an Asian woman who, she's a writer, she writes books, and she passes away tragically, and her friend realizes that she had an unwritten book like on her computer, so she takes it upon herself to publish the unwritten book under her own name. So people are dumbfounded. Well, the white woman, she also was a writer, but she didn't write very good books, but people are like completely dumbfounded by her work, and so she continues to try to steal more work from her Asian friend and try to milk it. And yeah, that's all. There is so many, like, it was definitely a page turner. I read it in like 2 days. Like, I could not put it down. I only put it down to sleep. Like, I loved the book. It was so good. So it was definitely one that I loved. Okay, so for 4 books on my TBR, I'm just going off of what I have on hold at the library or on Libby, and I'm going to read the synopses on Goodreads. The first book that's on my TBR is The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and this is what the synopsis says on Goodreads. Before the nightmares begin, Young Hai and her husband live an ordinary, controlled life, but the dreams, invasive images of blood and brutality torture her, driving Young Hai to purge her mind and renounce eating meat altogether. It's a small act of independence, but it interrupts her marriage and sets into motion an increasingly grotesque chain of events at home, as her husband, her brother-in-law, and sister each fight to reassert their control. Young Hai obsessively defends the choice that's become sacred to her. Soon their attempts turn desperate, subjecting first her mind and then her body to ever more intrusive and perverse violations, sending Young Hai spiraling into a dangerous, bizarre estrangement, not only from those closest to her, but also from herself. Celebrated by critics around the world, The Vegetarian is a darkly allegorical, Kafkaesque tale of power, obsession, and one woman's struggle to break free from the violence both with and within her. I saw this on TikTok, and I was like, read that. So I'll definitely be reading that as soon as I'm done with my current book. So the second book on my TBR is Belly of the Beast, The Politics of Anti-Fatness as Anti-Blackness by Deshaun Harrison, which is nonfiction. I actually, I don't know if you guys know, I've ever heard of Clubhouse, but it's like an app. It's almost like when people used to do Twitter Spaces, but this was before Twitter Spaces. So like in 2020, I was on Clubhouse a lot, and I used to listen to Deshaun Harrison talk about pretty much what's in their book about anti-fatness and anti-blackness. And yeah, so I'm going to read the synopsis for you. Anti-fatness and anti-blackness at the intersections of race, police violence, gender identity, fatness, and health. To live in a body both fat and black is to intersect at the margins of society that normalizes anti-fatness as anti-blackness, hyper-policed by state and society, passed over for housing and jobs, and derided and misdiagnosed by medical professionals. Fat black people in the United States are subject to culturally sanctioned discrimination, abuse, and trauma. Belly of the Beast author Deshaun Harrison, a fat, black, disabled, and non-binary writer, AMAB, offers an incisive, fresh, and precise exploration of anti-fatness as anti-blackness, foregrounding the state-sanctioned murder of Eric Gardner and the historical analysis of policing, disenfranchisement, and invisibilizing of fat black men and trans and non-binary AMAB people. Harrison discusses the pervasive, insidious ways that anti-blackness shows up in everyday life. Fat people can be legally fired in 49 states for being fat. They're more likely to be houseless. Fat people die at higher rates from misdiagnosis or non-treatment. Fat women are more likely to be sexually assaulted. And at the intersections of fatness, race, disability, and gender identity, these abuses are exacerbated. Taking on desirability politics, fuckability, healthism, hypersexualization, invisibility, and the connections between anti-fatness and police violence, Harrison viscerally and vividly illustrates the myriad harms of anti-fat, anti-blackness, and offers strategies for dismantling denial, unlearning the cultural programming that says fat is bad, and moving beyond the world we have now toward one that makes space for fat and black. I'm really excited to read it. I have it on hold at the library because I'm broke. So the third book on my TBR is The Hunting Wives by May Cobb, and you guys probably have heard about it because it's a series on Netflix. I watched the first couple episodes and then I was like, I think I'd rather just read the book, so I have it on hold at the library. But this is the description. The Hunting Wives share more than target practice, martinis, and bad behavior in this novel of obsession, seduction, and murder. Sophie O'Neill left behind an envy-inspiring career and the stressful competitive life of big city Chicago to settle down with her husband and young son in a small Texas town. It seems like the perfect life with a beautiful home in an idyllic rural community, but Sophie soon realizes that life is now too quiet and she's feeling bored and restless. Whoops. Then she meets Margot Banks, an alluring socialite who is part of an elite clique secretly known as the Hunting Wives. Sophie finds herself completely drawn to Margot and swept into her mysterious world of late-night target practice and dangerous partying. As Sophie's curiosity gives way to full-blown obsession, she slips further away from the safety of her family and deeper into this nest of vipers. When the body of a teenage girl is discovered in the woods where the Hunting Wives meet, Sophie finds herself in the middle of a murder investigation and her life is spiraling out of control. So, yeah, crazy plot, but I just feel like I'd rather read it than watch it on TV. I heard they're gonna do another season though, so if you guys have watched it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Another book that I have on my TBR is Still Alice by Lisa Genova. I've taken it out from the library before, but I didn't get the chance to read it because of school. So now that I have the chance, it's on hold at the library. So, Still Alice is a compelling debut novel about a 50-year-old woman's sudden descent into an early onset Alzheimer's disease, written by first-time author Lisa Genova, who holds a PhD in neuroscience from Harvard University. Alice Howland, happily married with 3 grown grown children in a house on the Cape, is a celebrated Harvard professor at the height of her career when she notices a forgetfulness creeping into her life. As confusion starts to cloud her thinking and her memory begins to fail her, she receives a devastating diagnosis: early onset Alzheimer's disease. Fiercely independent, Alice struggles to maintain her lifestyle and live in the moment, even as her sense of self is being stripped away. It turns heartbreaking, inspiring, and terrifying. Still, Alice captures in remarkable detail what it's like to literally lose your mind. I've heard so many good things about this book, so I definitely want to read it. Now we're gonna get into 3 books that I always recommend. So, the first book that I always recommend is actually an audiobook called Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. And I'm pretty sure I've said this in my other videos, but it is a thriller, and it's like a podcaster comes to a small town and he's trying to uncover the truth about a murder that happened. So he's really like going to her best friend trying to figure out if she did it. But I don't want to ruin it for you, but it being an audiobook, it's like there's a podcast, so like it just sounded really cool and it really like made me continue listening, so I always recommend it. The second book that I always recommend is The One by John Mars, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but basically it's a sci-fi book, and it is about a future where you're like, how do I explain it? You are matched by your DNA to your soulmate, or who could possibly be your soulmate. And basically in the book it goes through like 5 different people's stories of like them finding their DNA matches, them marrying their DNA matches, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a lot of twists and turns, and whenever someone tells me they like psychological thrillers, I tell them to read this. Whenever someone tells me they like sci-fi, I tell them to read this because it's just so intriguing. Like, imagine if something like this happened in the future, you know? So I really enjoyed this book, and I always tell people to read it. And the third book that I always recommend is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. I almost put this in the 5 books that I love, but it's something that I usually recommend. It is a historical fiction book set in the 60s, I believe, in the Bay Area, so like San Francisco, California. And it is about a young girl, and she is starting to feel that she is a lesbian, and she has feelings for one of her friends, and they go to like a gay bar, which is like the Telegraph Club in the book. And yeah, I just thought it was written so well, like definitely kept my attention. And my fiance is the one that told me I should read it because it's one of her favorite books. But yeah, I just cannot say enough how amazing of a book it is. So now we're on to 2 recent reads, and I'm begging you guys to please not judge me. The most recent thing I've read is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This book is popular. Yeah, that's the way I'm gonna put it. It's a popular book. It is a dark romance book. It's very problematic. Yeah, I started reading it at the beginning of the year. Trigger warning, I got to a part where it was non-consensual, and I was like, I'm not reading this. This is awful. Like, people are romanticizing this on TikTok. Like, I can't read this. And then it sat in my library on Kindle, and every time I looked at it, I was like, I just want to know what happens. So I finished reading it, and then I didn't rate it on Goodreads because I just feel like there's nothing for me to say. Like, I always rate books on Goodreads unless I think it's a 1 star, and then I'll usually just write a review without putting a star because I want to support authors already been said, because I've already seen other people that have said that it was non-consensual, and that's not okay, and we shouldn't be romanticizing that. So yeah, that's why I said don't judge me. I didn't really read it like because I like dark romance. I'm not a dark romance person. I just read it because I felt like I needed to know what else happened in the book, and maybe that's wrong for me to do, but that's what I did. Second recent read is The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren, and I did mention this in one of my other videos. It is a short story on Kindle Unlimited, and it is about this girl accidentally sends an email to a boy, and they end up sending them every year at Valentine's Day, and then they have like a will they won't they kind of thing, and then they end up like meeting up in person. But yeah, so those are my two recent reads. I don't love them, but yeah, if you're into dark romance, I'm sure you probably like Hunting Adeline. I don't like dark romance, so I wouldn't recommend reading that. The Exception to the Rule, not big on romance, but if you like romance, you probably would like it. Like I said, it's a short story. I think it's like 120 pages, maybe. It took me like an hour to read, or maybe 2 hours. I don't really remember, but yeah. And then now I'm on to my one current read, and my one current read is American Dirt by Janine Cummins. I think that's her last name. It might be Cummings. I didn't look. It could be Janine Cumming. I didn't look at the full cover. I'm very sorry. But anyway, American Dirt is a story. I am probably about halfway through the book right now. It's very good, very fast-paced. It is about a woman who, she was working in a bookstore in Acapulco, Mexico, and there is a man who's like a high-ranking cartel guy. I'm sorry, I don't know what the best way to describe it is. And unfortunately, her husband is a journalist, and he like exposes the guy, and so the guy comes and kills her entire family except for her and her son, who were able to like escape. And now they are on the run through Mexico, trying to get to the United States to try to get away from the cartel. Yeah, I have not, like I said, I'm about halfway through, so it's just so fast-paced. I keep thinking the cartel's gonna find them. I'm not sure if they will, because, like I said, I didn't finish the book, but I'm like hearing about all the twists, reading all the twists and turns, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so scary. And like, it's scary to think that this happens to real people. Like, this happens to people in real life, where they end up unfortunately getting involved with the cartel comes after them. Like, it actually is very scary, and I really feel for people who live in Mexico, or anywhere that's been overtaken by cartels. Like, I do feel for them, and I mean, no one wants to be in that situation, you know. And then like having to come here to America, where you are not appreciated as an immigrant, and you are treated very poorly as an immigrant here in America. You have to work the lowest paying jobs. People are constantly telling you they want you to go back to where you came from, and that you're stealing resources from citizens and whatever. And not to get political, but like, really, this is what happens in reality. Like, I'm reading a book about it, but this is what is happening in reality, and it's just gotten worse. Yeah, if you are interested in learning about that, or like learning the point of view of someone who's going through that, I would definitely suggest reading this book. I guess like you would call it contemporary fiction would be the genre, but yeah, I would definitely recommend reading this book, and I'm only halfway through. If it gets worse, I will update you guys in another video. But I think that so far it's been very good. But yeah, 3, 2, 1 Bookish challenge. I definitely want to say before I go that I am so sorry I haven't been uploading lately. I got a new job at the library, like I said. I haven't even started it yet, but I had a show that was very, it took a lot out of me to get ready for the show, and it went well, but now I'm like more relaxed and I have more time to like slow down, record some ASMR videos. So here I am now. I had filmed a live update for you guys talking about my new job at the library. We had to put our cat down, and I was also talking about living in America right now. But I feel like with all the attacks on like free speech lately, I don't want to post it, so maybe in the future I will post like a live update. But now you guys know I got a new job. We had to put my cat down. I will insert a picture of him. His name is Sebastian. He was so sweet. He was my favorite. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sure I will be posting more bookish content because I'm taking a semester off from school and I'm gonna be working at the library, so I have like so many books at my disposal. So I'm sure I will probably be doing more bookish content in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, please comment down below about what you think of them, or if you're thinking about reading any of the books that I mentioned, definitely leave me a comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon.